Well, this latest JP Morgan settlement comes at the 5-year anniversary of Madoff's arrest. Mention the name Bernie Madoff, and it became synonymous with greed and all that was wrong in the financial crisis. Now, 5 years later, is the financial crisis over? Here to answer that question, Jesse Eisinger, a senior reporter for ProPublica and a columnist for the New York Times. He won a Pulitzer Prize for his investigative reporting of the financial crisis. Jesse, nice to have you on the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, let me just begin by asking you, the prevailing view seems to be that banks are in much better shape. They've stabilized, that the financial crisis is over from that perspective. The government is out of the bailout business. We just reported this week that it no longer owns any part of General Motors. We just reported that housing is doing a lot better. So what is your thought on all this? Is the financial crisis really over?
Sure, happy days are here again. I do think the financial crisis is over. The question is whether we've done enough to prevent the next financial crisis. And since a crisis is inevitable, the question is, will it be huge and blow up the world economy? And I think the answer is no, we haven't done enough.
Have we solved the problem of too big to fail, a bank that is too systemically important to let it go?
Jacob Lew, the Treasury Secretary, said this last week in a speech that we could say with a straight face that we have solved too big to fail. I think that's, I don't think anybody on Wall Street or anybody observing this could keep a straight face.
Why do you say that?
There's no way that we have solved this problem. First of all, the banks are bigger than they were going into the crisis. The second thing is that no one believes credibly that the government would have the will to resolve a big bank if it was on the brink of failure and import costs, impose costs to shareholders possibly, but bondholders no. Right. I don't think anybody believes creditors would not be protected. And the second thing is that the question is what happens on day two. If some crisis hits that would hit JP Morgan, it would also hit Bank of America or Citigroup, and then they would step in to save those entities or that market.
There have been so many regulations, Dodd-Frank and all of that, and now recently the Volcker Rule that have been slapped on with these banks to make them safer and stronger in the case of a financial crisis. You said everything is not done yet. What else do you think needs to be fixed? I mean, what is the most important thing that yet should be done?
Yeah, I think they've incrementally done good things with derivatives. They've done good things with the Volcker Rule. The Volcker Rule is a lot stronger than when it first came on the scene, when it was first proposed. I think what they haven't done is solve too big to fail. They haven't gotten leverage requirements right. We don't have adequate capital requirements for the largest banks, and we don't have any sort of credible resolution authority. And that's the big central question. So, and the final issue is that we don't have adequate enforcement. We have criminal violations at JP Morgan, allegedly, but they're about to admit it, for the Madoff scandal, and yet not a single person seems to have committed a crime. When banks admit LIBOR violations or they admit manipulating other markets, not a single person seems to have committed any crime in any of these cases. Not a single person committed a crime in the financial crisis. I'm puzzled how that could possibly be. And without that kind of accountability, I don't think you get change.
All right. Really interesting conversation. Jesse Eisinger, thank you so much from ProPublica
Thank you for having me.
and the New York Times.